Hello, fellow adventurers and collectors. Filmaholic here. On today's episode of FRAFPU, we're going to be looking over my recent action figure pickups. And this was both a combination of a lucky find on eBay as well as a good find over there at a flea market that I went to. Now, to start things off, I wanted to talk about this Matchbox LR4. Now, this is my first time buying one of these higher end diecast cars, and suffice to say, I was a little disappointed. I don't know what I was expecting going into it, but I was kind of hoping there would be more to it outside of the doors opening. You know, this doesn't seem like it warrants the price tag, but it's a nice model overall, and you know, I can't knock it for that. I just don't necessarily understand the quirks of having this empty box, and then on top of that, just, you know, not having every hatch open. So I understand that it's a smaller scale, so it would be hard to incorporate those features, but I feel like there are other models out there that do that and at the same price tag. So I don't know, this seems like one of those models that could have easily been on the main line, but I don't know. I don't know much about the diecast world, so I just stick to the Land Rovers and any other SUV that I may find. So like I said, it's a nice model overall. It's a good representation of the LR4, but would I possibly do this again? Probably not. It's just something that caught my eye when I was in the aisle looking for, you know, Land Rovers and whatnot. So yeah. Next up, I found this lot of action figures that I got for a good price on eBay, and this is just a good reminder that there are deals out there. It's just a matter of patience and perseverance, you know. It's not like the old days where every other auction was a good deal, but at least there are still some glimpses of what was, you know. I actually saw this listing, and I don't remember if it was a combination of not labeling it right or what have you, but I was surprised no one else bid on this auction. But I basically got 3 figures for the price of one, or what one would be going for these days. So granted, I don't necessarily have a use for 2 of the action figures, but it's still good to have, you know, clothes or any other accessories that may come from, you know, a bulk listing like this. So I mainly got this lot because I've been looking for replacement bodies for some of my G.I. Joes, my Eagle Eyes to be specific, because unfortunately those broke on me over the last month or so, and that seems to be a running theme as of late. A lot of my parts and pieces are breaking on me. I don't know if it's a combination of me utilizing them in my photography or what have you, but I don't know what it is. I seem to have a shortage of good parts, but that's why I buy these random lots. So yeah, I basically bought this lot for one figure in particular that we'll get to, but something I wanted to bring up and ask you guys is, what is this military pattern? I don't necessarily recognize it, so maybe Paul Knapp, because he's more into this line than I am, would know, or at the very least point me in the right direction. I don't necessarily care for these figures. It's just something I never got attached to. There's nothing wrong with them. They got decent articulation and whatnot, but it's just something that doesn't necessarily interest me, so I will be moving them along like some of the other figures that I will be showcasing. But yeah, I mainly bought this lot for this one figure. I like the jacket, and I figured I could use the body for my Eagle Eyes G.I. Joe, but something that I've come to realize with these reproduction G.I. Joes from Hasbro is that the heads are super fucking hard to get off. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but there's just a pain to get off. But I ended up having to get a replacement neck post and just replacing the head that way. But yeah, outside of that, I just used the parts and pieces. It's funny to note that the shoes were on the wrong feet, but that's a mistake I've even made. So yeah, I just bought this lot for the one figure, and everything came out to a good price, so I wasn't necessarily bothered by that. Next up is actually a huge lot of figures that I bought just for one, and I basically scrounged for other figures that I could use in that listing, but I initially recorded the entire process, but it was a lot of rambling and what have you, so I cut it out from this, to save you your time. But I'll showcase the figures I did end up keeping and the parts I ended up using in my other figures, because I ended up getting a decent amount. Granted, did it cover however much I paid for it? Probably not, but I'm hoping that I can move the other figures along to kind of recoup that price. And basically that's the name of the game here, where I buy lots, pick and choose what I need, and then move the rest along. Don't necessarily need to make my money back, but it would be nice. But here's what I was able to scrounge together. And if you're familiar with Resident Evil 5, you know how rare this figure is. So as soon as I saw that, I figured that kind of at least covered half of the cost that I paid for the lot, because that figure alone goes for insane amounts. Sure, it's not complete by any means, but it's just a rare figure and you never really come across it. So I figured it was worth it. And all in all, it gave me some experience in terms of new bodies, like those blue box figures. I've never had those, and also it gave me a huge lot of clothes and accessories that I can use in other projects, so it wasn't all bad. Next up, I actually went to a flea market kind of a ways away from me, and it actually proved fruitful. This flea market in particular is always great to find 12-inch G.I. Joes and vehicles, and suffice to say, it came across here. I initially wanted this vehicle by itself, but the guy is like, here's an offer for the whole lot. So I, of course, took him up on that, and I ended up with this. Yeah, it was basically a huge lot of dragon figures, right? I don't necessarily collect those, so of course I'm going to be moving those along as well. But I used the accessories and stuff to kit bash one of my Takara G.I. Joes, and along with the lot, I ended up with this horse. And this is my first time owning this type of, I guess, vehicle. But I was going to put it with my G.I. Joes, but unfortunately the articulation doesn't work with it, so I figured I'd give it to my NCR Trooper. And I think it works well. I like the look of it. I definitely got to do some more work on my NCR guy, because I would like it to be a little bit more weathered, but I want to kind of learn how to do that before I just go right in, full force. But yeah, this was a great find. I didn't necessarily think I was going to come across this, and as a matter of fact, the guy even had a boxed G.I. Joe 5-star Jeep. Now, the idiot in me didn't even bother to ask how much it was, because I just assumed it was going to be a lot, but based off of how much he sold this lot for, I should have asked. But it is what it is. You can't get them all, and I definitely don't need another Jeep. I have like 3 of them. But regardless, I did find some good finds, and as a matter of fact, I got a grill that came in as well, so stay tuned for that. But with that said, I thank you all for watching, and if you feel so inclined, please like, comment, and or subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it, and I will catch you all next time.